so much for the glory of Rome.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. You're on Unapologetic American, and James Hayes is here, bright and early. Hope everyone is doing good and feeling well. Same here, James. Same to you. We got Mike over here in the hot seat, watching YouTube videos about video games. What's up, Lady Celtic Moon? Arlene, how you guys doing? Welcome. Thanks for showing up. What is going on? I'm working on a BitBoy. Here, I'll show you. I'm working on a BitBoy cover. What should wait? I should focus on what the topic is, huh? Never mind. You don't need to see no BitBoy cover. Stuff is about. I was talking to Shad's dude that's working on the campaign, and he said they just went into lockdown, and so I had to Google it. I'm like, you guys, what? Lockdown? What are you talking about? So I looked it up. Melbourne joins Sydney in lockdown as COVID-19 spreads in Australia. So they had 6.6 million people told to stay home. Half of Australia's population is now under lockdown. If you wait, you hesitate. If you doubt, you will always be looking back, wishing you had done more earlier. Here's the funny part. I'm not prepared to avoid a 5-day lockdown now, only to find ourselves in a 5-week or a 5-month lockdown. Hey, remember 15 days to stop to flatten the curve? Oh, you silly people. You silly people. I don't even know who's talking here. Somebody of import. It doesn't matter. Yeah, they had a handful of new infections. And of course, they shot into lockdown because they were so proud of how well the last lockdown worked. Australia goes into minimum lockdowns when they have three or more cases. These people. Anyways, hopefully the lockdown will help them settle, have time, do their videos, launch the campaign, all for the greater good. But then I look, California has been hit by 1,000 case jump in new infections over 24 hours. Yeah, okay. There's 55 million people in California. This is why the topic is shh, we're hunting wabbits. Because I'm trying not to say things. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to try not. I hate YouTube. I'm going to try not to say anything that would get my channel banned again. Even though apparently I'm really bad at not saying things that gets my channel blocked. But I'll give it a try. So yeah, other California counties announced they would again require masks. One day after Los Angeles and other California counties announced they would again require masks for everyone in indoor public spaces. The count of new cases statewide jumped from 3,600 to 4,600. Last time the state saw that kind of one-day spike was March 2nd, according to state tracking. Let's check out the state tracking. So we've got 71 million total tests, 130,000 positives. That's a 3.7% test positivity. 3.7% test positivity on a cold virus. That's what it is. Although it's, origins are speculative. We know where the origins are. I just can't say it. I can't say it. At a 90, what is it? A 99.6? Is that right? Percent survivability? Something like that? What is the exact number? Somebody know the exact number, put it in the chat. What is the exact survivability rate for the coof? The coof. And then let's add that to the 3.7% test positivity. And then keep in mind that of the people who got it, who survived it, that doesn't count the people who didn't know they had it because they were asymptomatic. Can you go turn the AC on? It's hot in here. Thank you, sir. It's a problem. It's a problem. Use loony substitution for terms. What is a loony substitution for the coof? I got 98%, 98.5% says Andrew Hayes, survivability. So 1.5% of 3.7% of 71 million tests. And for this, they're shutting it down again in Melbourne. Melbourne's shutting it down again for that level of. And look, I'm sorry to anybody who passed. And look, my I don't know what you call her. My brother's ex-wife's father, lovely guy, worked for the CIA, died from COVID. So I'm not pretending like nobody dies from COVID. But people die from all kinds of things at a far, far greater and worse rate than COVID. And we don't shut down the world for these sort of things. I'm sorry I'm talking about this like it's like this is old news, right? It's not old news. They want to start it all over again. Thank you, Isaac. They want to start it all over again. It's like, bro, we just got conventions back up and running. And they want to stinking start this whole shutdown malarkey over again. All right, what else is going on? Let's get away from that. I'm so scared of even mentioning this. There's a hand recount going on in Georgia, as many of you may know. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, wherein, what do you think is going to happen when it's oh shoot, I can't say that. All right, let's just state. God, I can't even state facts without YouTube hacking me or YouTube shutting me down. All right, so I'm going to pretend like this isn't a fact. Trump is making a rumor. This is all fake news. Nobody believe this. Nobody listen to the error rate. Actually, this isn't even the good one. These illicit votes. I can't read this. But there was another report. I think it was. Is it this one? Look. 4 states want to follow in Arizona's proposed audits. What's this one? Over 168,000 ballots missing chain of custody in one county in Georgia. In total, Georgia has 355,000 still lacks legally required chain of custody documentation for 355,000 votes. I don't know what that means. That can't have anything to do with anything that rhymes with the word odd. It can't, because YouTube deems it so. But I find it interesting that, okay, you've got Arizona walking this path, you've got Georgia walking this path, and you've got 4 states following. How many states were question? Gosh, darn it. You know what? I'm going to stop talking about this. I'm going to stop right now because I know I'm going to say something. And they've got me on their list now. They've struck me once, which means they'll strike me again. And so I am gonna be very, very careful. You guys can look this stuff up for yourself and then kind of do the math in your head. 4 states, it would be 4 particular states. And if 4 particular states audited and found similar results to what they're finding in Arizona and Georgia, so that's, I would add Georgia would be, so it's Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. That's 5 states total. If 5 states total find that their totals are wibbly wobbly, is that a way I can say it safely? Say they have wibbly wobbly vote totals, then we'll see what happens. That's a safe way to say it, right? We'll see what happens when the votes are tallied and appropriately counted, and it seems that their totals are wibbly wobbly. We shall see. All right, these idiots forcibly S the E in order to force the global reset in America. Forcibly S the E. Forcibly S the E. I don't know what S the E means, Andrew. I don't know. S the E. Oh! True. S the E, which I can't say, but yes. And boy, 355,000 votes. This ballots, by the way, which when you don't have chain of custody, that means they just sort of appeared without the appropriate chain of custody. Is that a safe enough way to say that? That I'm inferring things I cannot say? Because usually, if you have a ballot, a mail-in ballot, or a voted-in ballot, what they do is basically a provenance on each ballot, right? Where they know where it came from, they have the envelope that it came in, or they have the batch that it came in from the polling station. They have a chain of custody, a provenance, they say in the art world. And if somehow or another you have 350,000 ballots just appeared with no chain of custody, I don't know what that could possibly mean to their validity, and I would never dare question the validity of the most secure election in the history of the United States of America. You can't say it on YouTube, so I was being said. Thank you, Andrew. I do appreciate it. Have you attempted the Odyssey streaming yet? I have not. I don't. Sorry. I've been busy. I've been working. You guys want to see the? I'll show you. I've been doing my own covers. I've been coloring my own covers. Hold on. Let me see what I got here. Oh yeah, I can just show you that. Well. Hold on. All right, here's one of the. Here, I'll share. I think this one's looking pretty cool. This is one of the covers I just did, and I colored it myself. I'm working on another one right now. Wait, how does this work? No, that's other stuff. And then this is the one I'm coloring right now that I finished inking last night. So, you should switch to live streaming on Odyssey since only 8 people actually watch these streams, Mike. Maybe I should. Maybe that's not a bad idea. I know Rumble gets quite a bit. Or Doug says, what's that called? I can't even remember the name of it. What's it? It's like family? No, not family. Paris? No. Anybody remember the name of the thing Doug does? I still haven't been on Odyssey. Yeah, that's the problem. That is the problem, is trying to bring an audience to Odyssey. Anyways, BitBoy. Pretty cool, right? I might try it. Not BitBoy, but Odyssey. Because I do like those library tokens. Yeah, ooh, Bitcoin. Bitcoin taking it in the shorts right now, isn't it? All right, let me remove that. See what we're looking like on the Bitcoins on the channel links. Ooh. Well, ETH is down at 18.99 right now. Link is down to 15.4. Man, that's only like 3 times what I bought it for. All right. Still haven't been on Odyssey yet. Anything else going on? I could just jump into the scriptures. I don't. It's so weird. I do want to talk about this stuff, but I can't talk about this stuff because I hate YouTube. This is so stifling. It is so bloody stifling. I couldn't even read one of these reports because I'd be scared of just reading something. Because, like my channel got struck for just playing what Donald Trump said. It's like, hi, he's a politician. He is now a politician officially. I hate to say it, but it's true. And you're gonna literally shut down my channel for sharing what he said.
Right here.
It's nuts. NVTS nuts. What would you call them? Our tax dollars. Our money. No, okay. All right. Let's just go to the scriptures. Should we just jump to the scriptures? KingJamesBibleOnline.org. We are in 2 Samuel chapter. Anybody remember what chapter we're in? Do I have to go to my channel and see what chapter we are in? View on YouTube. And I believe they took down my last video.
What are you talking about? You're like,
right?
You're like,
yeah, they took down. It's so bad. So I need to skip ahead from what my previous. So we were in 13. We did 14. Now we should be in 15. All right. So stupid. So much stupid in the world. Andrew says it would be nice. It would be nice as we had an open source video streaming website like YouTube that didn't money to run. Then we could be in real Wild West internet territory. Yeah, I don't entirely know. Hey, Isaac. All right, let's read some scriptures, shall we? Boo! All right. Should I read it this way or this way? This way or this way? I kind of like it this way. I'll read it this way. All right. Ooh, excuse me while I drink this up. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way. Boys, I'm reading the scripture, which means what? Thank you. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said to him, this is Absalom politicking, just so you know. What is Mike drinking today? I'm drinking a lovely breakfast blend of black tea, which I made last night, so that I could refrigerate it and have some nice iced tea today. Isn't that lovely? Isaac. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king. Deputed? Is that the same? I guess so. To hear thee. Absalom said, moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. And it was so that when any man came nigh unto him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. Kissing babies. Kissing babies. That's what it's all about. Hey, y'all, it's been a while since I've been on this particular channel. What's up, Mr. Motion? Welcome back. Whiskey and Coke. No. Spoiler alert. Hey, no spoilers. Absalom is one of David's children who he had to exile. Indeed. I've been watching the Bible in a day with Mike Schmitz? What's a fur? Father Mike Schmitz. It's been pretty good so far. YouTube even periodically will censor that. Hesbian, hello, Seamus. Welcome. Since cross-examinations was in hiatus. Oh, right on. Look at that. We actually have more people watching when we start getting to the Bible. It's the same number. It's 8. 8 people are watching. Isaac, can you just not stop until I'm done reading scripture? And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. He had to ask his daddy's permission. You just told him to not stop. Hey! For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. Homie's playing the long game. 40 years? 40 years? What? I wonder if that's like, is that a King James typo? Was it 4 years? 4 years sounds, or 14 years? I'm kind of curious. All right. 2 Samuel 15. I'm going to see some other translations. Because, oops, not 156. There's not 156. 2 Samuel 15. NIV. What was I on? 7. 2 Samuel 7. At the end of 4 years. All right, the NIV says 4 years. Some Septuagint manuscripts, Syriac and Josephus, 40. I'm going to think it's 4 years. I think this is one of those King James Version goofs. Because 40 years seems like an awful long time. I don't know. I'd have to map it out and see the timeline on David's life. If anyone has any better information, let me know. And on this matter, so Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel, and it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, blah, blah, blah. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong. These conspiracy theorists. For the people increased continually with Absalom. And there came a messenger to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise, and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said unto the king, behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. Sorry, girls, you can't come with us. Somebody's got them in the house. Mind the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. I wonder why they don't just say where he went. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and the Gittites, and 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then said the king to Ittai the Gittite, wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place, and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger, and also an exile. I don't know this guy. Does anyone remember where Ittai? That means ouch in Japanese, by the way. Ittai! Ittai the Gittite came from. This is the first time I remember seeing his name, so I have no background. Whereas thou camest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us, seeing I go whither I may return thou, and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth will be with thee. And Ittai answered the king and said, as the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. Oh, that's loyalty right there. And David said to Ittai, I'm going to keep calling you Ittai, go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over toward the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. Man, that whole city just got up and left with David. Reminds me of a situation where a false ruler took control of a nation, and then the true ruler was placed into exile, but he went willingly, and the people followed him. None of them believing in the false ruler that sat in his kingdom, in his king's chair, as it were. My David, I believe, Kim Clement. I think Kim Clement was the one called this blonde-haired dude God's David. It's very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. And the king said to Zadok, carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I. Let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. The king said also unto Zadok the priest, art not thou a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. This is awesome to me, because this shows that David's heart, man after God's own heart. It wasn't about the pomp, the circumstance, the control even. He's like, the ark, the seat of power, the ark of the covenant doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong with me. It belongs in its place because it is God's. And if God wills that I be placed back in my seat of power, then nothing can stop that, right? Even though some other guy was ruling the kingdom, had, you know, what do they say? Possession is 9/10 of the law. You can have all the media, all the priests, everybody saying that you're the king, but if God wills it, the true king will be replaced on the throne. Y'all know what I'm saying? Believe. I believe. I still believe. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. All right. See, I will tarry on the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me. To certify. Until it's certified. Zadok, therefore, and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and he had his head covered, and he went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. Yeah, you know the thing. You know the thing.
My predecessor. Oh, God, I miss him.
And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent and his earth upon his head, unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant hitherto, so will I now be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. I am very curious. Who is the Hushai, the Archite, in our current context? Who has the trust of the false king, but is secretly working for the true king? I wonder. Suggestions in the chat or in the comment section. Thank you. Hast thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priest? Therefore it shall be that what thing soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Oh, Matt doesn't believe. Matt's not a believer, guys. He doesn't believe. So, behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them ye shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Absalom sat in David's seat. Matt says he's a leper. God's timing is perfect, says Arlene. When it is time for the false leader to be removed, then all the friend, that's what I assume you're writing, will be revealed and proven. Indeed, that is also my belief, Arlene. And look, to people like Matt, to people who don't believe, look, anything that it's kind of just a truism. anything that you don't believe seems like foolishness, right? That's kind of the thing. You either believe something, and then when you hear something that's the opposite of what you believe, you're like, that's silly. Actually, I was just making this point the other day because I was talking on Facebook with my brother, and I posted the maps of what is it? Ancient maps of Antarctica, right? And I don't know if you guys have seen this before. I think I've shared this before. That's pretty pious of you to call me a non-believer. I'm not talking about God, Matt. I'm talking about the things that I believe in. So here's what this map is from 1500, right? And maps the barren, that is the iceless coastline of Antarctica, which matches up to NASA satellite coastline images of Antarctica. Weird. And then you have this map, which is from 1200 AD, which also maps in partiality the barren, iceless coastline of Antarctica. And so I posted these, and my brother on Facebook's like, are you trying to say that Antarctica wasn't covered in ice a few hundred years ago? And I'm like, there's no, these aren't questioned maps. These are legit historical maps from 1200, from 1500. Some people say they were pieced together from even earlier maps, which, whatever, that's a few hundred years ago. So what's more provable? A scientific theory that Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years? Or that someone, actually not just someone, numerous people sailed around the actual un-ice-covered coastline, mapping it out literally a few hundred years ago. And here's the historical proof, not evidence, proof. Because you can't map the coastline if it's covered in sheets of ice. Sometimes, some places like a mile thick. Right? It's insane. Yes, I am streaming on Facebook too. I am indeed on afar. I guess so. I see no Matt. Yeah, Matt's on Facebook. See, he's got the little F thing there. And so yeah, I was making the point that look, when people believe a thing, even if you show them something that's like proof, not evidence, proof, unquestionable. These are unquestionably authentic, real maps that real people with real pens on real boats and real, however the heck they map freaking things. Coordinates. That's the word I was looking for. Actually map these things. Yes, literally a few hundred years ago, and see. But because you're so programmed to believe the scientific theory that Antarctica has been covered with miles of snow for millions of years, that reality is foolishness to you. This is reality. See, Matt thinks this is a joke. Matt can't comprehend because he's so bought into the theory that facts no longer matter. Facts are foolishness to those who don't believe them. And the problem is most people are so comfortable with what they've been taught that they never bother questioning what they've been taught. I like to question what I've been taught. If I didn't question what I've been taught, I wouldn't be a Christian today, because I was raised agnostic. I was raised believing all of this stuff. Matt was raised Catholic. Your facts. Yes, the fact. Look on the screen, Matt. That is a map that was made in like the 12th century. That is a fact. You can deny it. You're denying reality. Now, line up what your theory is with that fact and tell me which one carries more weight. I love you too, Matt. You know that. So if we go back, say, 500 years, can we find maps made back then? This one's 500 years old. I can't remember what it's called, but this map is 500 years old. This map is 800 years old. That's just historical reality. Other maps that are 500 years old? I don't know. Maps are 500 years old. 500-year-old map that could... Is this another one? No, that's the other one I was just showing. The Pyrees or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. 500-year-old. I type in 500-year-old map and it's all about the Antarctica map. Browse 500-year-old maps of your country in Google Maps format. Okay. There's a 500-year-old map of India, China, Japan. Not quite as accurate as our modern satellite maps. Unless you're doing it because the parallels aren't right. Maybe if you stretched it out. Actually, you know what? Let me do that. Copy image. Let's go to Photoshop real quick. No. Paste. Transform. Perspective. Let's see it happens if you kind of... No, that's not perspective. That's not what I wanted. I want skew. Because it looks like the India is... I don't know how to... Maybe I'd have to warp it or something like that. But see, like India's point comes more down like this. So I'm wondering if it's like the way the parallels are laid out on the page. I don't know. I don't entirely know. I'm just kind of screwing around with it now. How far back can we go to find the Indians came to America? I don't know. And I have a contradictory theory. I don't have any evidence for it other than the fact that the Hawaiian, the Samoan, the Filipino islands are all populated by Asians, right? So my theory goes like this. Yes, there were Inuit people who came over the top side, right? They didn't even have to come by land. They could have come by boat too. But they came over. They had to go. You know what? They had to go by boat. You know why? Because the Arctic Ocean, you couldn't get there by land. You couldn't get to Greenland by land. Right? You'd have to get to Greenland by sea. And the Inuit people who came over from I think they're related to the Ainu from northern Japan, because Inuit and Ainu sound the same and they have pretty much the same meaning. One means the humans, one means the people. Human people, Ainu, Inuit. It seems like it's all the same. Anyways, they went to Alaska. They also went to Greenland on the other side of the hemisphere, on the other side of the Arctic Ocean, which means they had to get there by boat. So I didn't see any need for them to get to Alaska by land if they got to Greenland by boat. You know what I'm saying? So I also think that because America is populated by Asians, and I don't think, look, if you had a whole bunch of people in Asia and they're all like, let's all get in these boats. I don't know why. Don't ask me why this happened. But all we know is the facts. Asians somehow got from Asia to Samoa and Hawaii and the Philippines and Singapore and Tonga and all of the islands and New Zealand. They got to all these places by boat. What makes anyone think that, well, first of all, they didn't know those places existed, right? So you've got Hawaii here, you've got Tonga here, you've got thousands of miles of ocean in between. These guys coming from Asia, you think they just went straight to Samoa? You think they went straight to Hawaii? They went straight to Tonga? No, because they didn't know they were there. Nobody told them they were these islands in the middle of the sea. So between these thousands of miles between these islands, some of these Asian people in these boats had to go right through those thousands of miles. Where would they end up? What's the next locale on the map on the other side of the Pacific Ocean? America. South, North America. Boop, 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 boop. That's how I think America was populated. There's people thinking they all came across the Bering Strait and populated from Canada down to all the way down to south. That's so stupid. They didn't even have horses. I think they're just going to walk from Alaska to Argentina. Nah, man. Nah. I think, I don't know if anybody else has this theory. It just makes so much common sense to me that, anyways, Eastern Island is nearer to South America than Asia. Yeah. Well, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. Amen, Lee. Amen. Our ancestors were really built different. Yeah. Because we weren't sitting there playing video games all day. Nothing. Maybe they were sick and decided to walk the rest of the way. If you have a boat, you can conquer the world. Yeah, but that's one of my things. It's like scientific theory. I get it. It's scientific theory. It's like, hey, we all walked across the Bering Strait or the Alaska archipelago, whatever it is, and then walked all the way to friggin' Argentina. There's a way more practical explanation of who populated the Americas, because we're all Asian, brah. We're all Asian. Native Americans, South Americans, Mexicans. I mean, until you start sprinkling us with some, not us, but sprinkling them with the ye old Spanish blood. We all Asians, bruh. We got it. We boat people. Just get over it. We boat people. We got rid of the boats. Started building pyramids. I don't know how that happened. But anyways, I didn't walk across any strait. I was already here when I opened my eyes. Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts? I've never even looked up to see if anybody else has that theory. I assume someone else. I'm going to type, did Native Americans get here by boat? Someone must have this theory. Other migration theories. Bering and land bridge nation. Most archaeologists think the first Americans arrived by boat. Hey! How come we weren't taught this in school? Oh, look at this! All right, here's a wonderful thing. I came up with this all by myself because I was never taught this. I never saw it on any NPR, NPS, and PBS or anything. This was just me using my logical, rational mind to come up with a theory that made way more sense than crossing some freaking land bridge in the Arctic. And here we go. Most archaeologists think the first Americans arrived by boat. Now they're beginning to prove it. Matthew Delory got the first inkling that he had stumbled on something special when he pulled over on a dirt road seeking a place for the team to use a bathroom while waiting for blah, 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 blah. As he explored, his feet crunched over shells of large pismo clams, bivalves, the stone tools. The stone tools littering the ground didn't fit either, unlike finely made arrow points and sharp obsidian, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea what it meant, said Delory, now a professor at Cal State University. You probably should sit down. The material dated from nearly 11,000 to 12,000. You know how I feel about carbon dating. Years ago, the couple thousand years after the first people reached the Americas, that discovery in 2004 proved to be no anomaly. Since then, I am the smartest man on earth. I came up with this theory by myself. I didn't have to stumble upon any kind of ancient nothing. Density of early coastal cities. I got to read this. Unprecedented in North America. This adds to a small but growing list that supports a once heretical view of the peopling of the Americas, whereas archaeologists once thought the earliest arrivals wandered onto the continent through a gap in the Ice Age glaciers covering Canada, which I always thought was stupid. Most researchers today think the first inhabitants came by sea. I didn't have to go to college to figure that out, ladies and gentlemen. You are too smart. I mean smart. This is what having a functioning mind allows you to do. It allows you to not necessarily just believe everything you were taught by your high school, by PBS, by all these other things. You can actually look at something and figure it out beyond your indoctrination. Some people can't do that. Can they, Matt? Findings such as those in Cedros Island bolster the picture by showing people were living along the coast practically as early as anyone was in the Americas. But these sites don't yet prove the coastal hypothesis. Some archaeologists argue that the first Americans might have entered via the continental interior. And turned to a maritime way of life only after they arrived. If they came down an interior, ice-free corridor, they could have turned right, saw the beaches, said to hell with it. See, this is what happens when you're so stifled in your indoctrination and your way of thinking. This is why the evolutionists refuse to allow competing theories on the origin of mankind, of life on Earth, right? Because they're so ingrained into their indoctrination. And look, man, I get it. If you spend 50 years promoting some theory, and then some facts come along and slap you in the face, and they're like, your theory is bollocks. You're going to have a rough time. Pride is a hell of a drug. You're going to have a rough time saying, oh, hey, you know all those books that I wrote on this subject? Can you just chuck those in the trash? We're going to start all over. My career has been a lie. No, people don't do that. That's not human nature. So this is why, they could have become seafaring after they walked all the way here from Canada. Yeah. Right. No. So great. The biggest blow came in 1997 when archaeologists confirmed that an island in Monteverde, Chile was at least 14,000 years old, 1,000 years before the Clovis tools. Since then, several more pre-Clovis sites have come to light. Most recent from Monteverde, earliest Americans found it out of Beringia around 16,000 years ago. Not only were Clovis people not the first to arrive, but many researchers also doubt the first Americans could have made it by land. Glaciers likely covered the land route through Western Canada until after 16,000 years ago. Well, okay. You know me. I don't buy that crap. These are the same people who are saying that long ago Antarctica was covered in ice, when clearly the maps prove otherwise, don't they? So, I don't know. Basic message here. Don't just believe everything you were taught, because you were taught it by fallible people who have pride in their research and are human beings who are unlikely to give up the fight. Remember, the doctor that discovered that if you wash your hands between patients, you will save lives, was laughed at for like 50 years. Was it 50 years? It was a long time. He was laughed at by the entire medical establishment, who were like, "You're so stupid. That's foolishness. We know that there's nothing wrong with going from a cadaver and doing an autopsy to going and giving birth to a young, to a baby without washing your hands. We know that's the truth because our teachers told us so. Our professors told us so. All of medical science tells us so. But the truth shall set you free." Anyways, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to wrap this up because that's a good place to wrap it. Have I ever heard of Stephen Meyer? He's causing some problems in the evolutionary science communities. I have. Stephen Meyer. Is he the guy that wrote Darwin's Black Box? I'm trying to remember if that was the author. I don't know. Evidence for Polynesians in Old Chile. Yeah, scientists still use carbon dating because they are taught to use it. Right, exactly. That's what my dad always used to say. Always. Yep. Yeah, only about 100 years ago, then they discovered germs. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like this dude. He didn't just. I don't think he. It was like before the discovery of germs. He just discovered that if you wash your hands between patients, you're less likely to kill your patients. he was doing it in his practice. It's like, and he told all his nurses, before you go from one patient to another, wash your hands thoroughly. And his patients stopped dying. And he went to tell the medical community, all those learned men who knew everything about medicine, and they laughed at him. So he wrote Darwin's Doubt. Oh, who wrote Darwin's Black Box? Anyways, at one time the world was one continent. Indeed. Until the days of Peleg, I do believe. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all for being here, for joining me for Cross Examinations. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Friday, an awesome weekend, a great Sabbath, and a wonderful rest of the year. Pray for our country, pray for America, pray for... Oh, Michael Behe wrote that. That's right, Michael Behe. And bye, Max. Say hi, Max. Bye, Max. God bless you guys. We'll see you all on the next exciting episode of Cross Examinations.